Hey girl. Um, Ignore the light streaming in through my bedroom. I don't want to close my blind. And it also blurs out the fact that my room is messy. It's like a blur filter, except it happened because I cracked my phone. Anyways, I hope my videos evoke a sort of sitting with your childhood bestie in your room when it's super messy and talking for hours. That's kind of the vibe I always want to bring to the table, and I hope I'm bringing that. Anyways, hello, my name is Tomato Basil Girl. I speak for the tomatoes. Today I speak for a Batman movie. So I'm gonna give you some context. I loved sharing my story with Batman. Hold on. Today I speak for a Batman movie. So my Batman journey, my Batman love story, how I fell in love with Batman. What initially happened is I got really sick for a hot second last year. So I spent a lot of time doom scrolling, and while I was doom scrolling, I was consuming a lot of political and true crime content, which is kind of like awful for your brain. And so I started just consuming any content that wasn't that. I would just scroll and scroll and scroll till the algorithm gave me something that like wasn't true crime or political. It was right around the time of the Charlie Kirk assassination, which was kind of an awful time to be on the internet. And so finally I find something that isn't Charlie Kirk. And it was Batman. And it started off with me supporting Superbat. Me just saving anything to Superman and Batman kissing. Yes. And then I started getting Jason Todd and Grayson reels. I believe I started getting Dick Grayson reels, and I then started getting Jason Todd reels. I knew a little bit about them because of my sister. And so I watched Under the Red Hood, and then I didn't really consume any Batman content for like a while. And then this year, more like the last few months, but like particularly like last month and this month, which it's the end of June, so it's about 2 months. I've been consuming a lot more Batman comic. I've actually been reading comics, and I have been watching a lot of movies, and I'm also currently halfway through Batman Beyond. So I've just been consuming a lot more Batman content, and it's been really fun and really enjoyable, and I'm loving it. I actually love it so much. It's an incredible time. I'm really loving it. My favorite type of media, which I have 3 big hyperfixations. It's also like as an adult, and I always feel funny calling myself an adult because I am 19, and I feel like a lot of people don't consider that like a real adult. But as somebody who is technically an adult, I feel like I've just really been embracing like my special interests and the things that like make me really happy and the things that like specifically like I love. And a huge special interest of mine is physical media, and so I love watching everything on physical media. And I also like my big 3 special interests right now are Batman slash Jason Todd, which is like in the same category to me, Scooby-Doo, and TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's been really fun embracing that. So I'm gonna do a little haul. I got a bunch of stuff from the library recently, and I'm gonna do a haul at them, but I first want to talk about this movie. I have been watching Batman stuff, for like consistently for about 2 months. And before this, honestly, my favorite thing was probably Under the Red Hood. Besides Batman Beyond. I love Batman Beyond. But like my favorite movie was Under the Red Hood, and I didn't expect really anything to beat it. I watched both of the Scooby-Doo Batman movies, and one of them was incredible, and the other one was the one that came out in 1972 was not my favorite. Other than that, though, I watched Lego Batman, and I think that's everything I've watched so far. I watched The Batman. I watched that in December. I watched the one with Robert Pattinson, and I didn't like it. Hot take. Other than that, though, I really don't think I've watched any other Batman movies. I'm mainly a Scooby-Doo movie girl. So I don't think I've watched any other Batman movies up until today, but I'm trying to remember this anymore. I really want to rewatch, is it Batman vs. Superman? It's Batman vs. Superman. Because my brother was into superheroes growing up, and my brother's like 7 years older than me. And so he would sometimes make my mom buy us all tickets. Well, it was more of like my mom had us for the weekend, and she had to buy tickets for us because we were with her and she didn't want to leave us home alone. And my brother wanted to see a movie, so she let him see a movie. And we saw Batman versus Superman. And I remember being like, this is really bad, and Batman is so dramatic and like such a crybaby. And I think I will feel the exact same way if I watch it again today. Like, if I watched it right now, I think I would feel the same exact way. However, I want to like prove that theory to myself. Other than that, I don't think I've been watching a lot of Batman Beyond, which we'll get to later in the haul. But there was never really any Batman movies that I was like, this is my favorite. I love Under the Red Hood. It's not something I can rewatch often. I actually didn't cry the first time I saw it. I didn't like it. And then I rewatched it. I got it on DVD even though I didn't like it. And I watched it like 7 times and I became obsessed with it. And then that's what happened. I watched Under the Red Hood, didn't consume any Batman content for a while. Binge Under the Red Hood several times, didn't consume any Batman content for a while. A couple months later, read 2 comics, my first 2 comics, and then stopped consuming up until like last month. Point is, I know that was long-winded. That wasn't me trying to like drag out the thing. I'll put it in the title. That was just me trying to give you context. I like talking, if you couldn't tell. I'm gonna take a sip of water, if you don't mind. Okay. So, more additional context. I got this from not my local library, but a library that's really close by, that's like in a different county, and I just got a card there. This is called Batman Gotham by Gaslight. I'm gonna let you have a look at the movie, let you have a look at back because you won't be able to read this. And I just want you to, like, what do you think this movie's about? I'll give you 3 seconds to guess. If you already know, then don't guess, obviously. Okay, I'll give you 3 seconds. Just guess, like, the basic plot of this movie. 3, 2, 1. Did you guess that it was Jack the Ripper? Did you guess it was Batman fighting Jack the Ripper? Because if you put a to my head and asked me just off the cover what this movie's about, I would have said it was like it reminds me of Disco Elysium. I keep saying that. It reminds me of Disco Elysium in the art style. Not so that movie, now that I've seen it, not necessarily the movie, but like this cover reminds me of it. And all I'd be able to tell you is like it's like an old-timey Batman movie, but I would probably been able to tell, and I was correct about this. It isn't like old, like it was made a long time ago. It just like it takes place in like an older time, and I'm pretty sure it takes place in the 1800s. So I was ultimately correct with that. I would never be able to guess this was about Jack the Ripper. What happened was I saw this, I went, oh, this isn't a Batman movie I've ever seen before. It looks cool, I'll get it. Because I keep talking about this, but I recently saw a girl be like, we need to consume books. I'm on Book Talk. We need to consume books that we know nothing about to like help us like curate our book taste. And I was like, I'm gonna apply that to all versions of my life. I'm gonna read books I know nothing about. I'm gonna read comics I know nothing about. I'm gonna listen to music I know nothing about, and I'm gonna watch movies I know nothing about. And so that's what I was doing. So I checked it out, and then the next day I was like, I might as well like figure out what this movie's about. But I didn't want to Google anything. I don't like Googling media I'm going to consume because I feel like I get people's opinions in my head, or like I'll expect something if somebody's like, this book had really bad grammar. When I'm reading the book, I'll be looking for the bad grammar, and I wouldn't be doing that if I hadn't read that review. So I don't read reviews, but I did read the back, and I was like, where the fuck did they get Jack Ripper from? And that's kind of my whole thought process throughout the entire movie. I'm gonna do a full review here and now. I will be spoiling. I feel like you can't do a good review without spoils. So I'm begging you to watch this movie, and usually I love spoilers, but this is like one of the few things I'm like, don't spoil yourself. However, I don't care what you do, live your life clean. Pop off. So I'm not gonna talk like too much about the plot in this movie. The main thing I'm gonna be spoiling is like the big twist at the end. Who Jack Ripper is. It is a Batman character. It is a Batman. I'll give you the characters in it. There's the characters I recognized. There's Catwoman, Harvey Dent, James Gordon, some of the Bat Kids, and Alfred. And you can guess from there who you think Jack the Ripper is, and I'll tell you closer to the end. So, my dog is barking. So I knew this movie was going to be good the moment I saw it, but I really knew it was going to be good when I started watching it. The vibes are incredible. Except for everyone getting brutally murdered, that's not very good. But otherwise, the vibes are incredible. It really is how do you say that word? I'm dyslexic. I don't know how to say that. How do you say that? I don't know. It's very like spooky vibes. I think it purposely encapsulates like I think it could be considered horror, but to me it like purposely encapsulates like watching a Jack the Ripper movie. Like the setting is just perfect, and like the atmosphere is perfect. It feels like I'm watching like it feels like an advanced Clue. Like it feels like a Clue for adults. It just like it's a small town, but it takes place in Gotham. But Jack the Ripper is British, and they mention London at one point. I don't really know what's going on in that bureau. All I know is like it very much like I can't describe it in any other way than like it feels like watching it's such a unique type of movie. I truly like there are other movies like it. I'm not saying like this is a one and only. I'm just saying like there are other movies like it, but I can't like I don't watch them often, so I can't like give you examples. And I also can't like figure out like place the genre because it's not children's. It's very much not for children. Not only does it have like gore, and like gore I mean like that's really all we see. And it has like weapons. And other than that, it has like mentions of like sex. Other than that, like it's really nothing. But like I wouldn't let my child watch it. If I had a child, I would not let my child watch it. Not until they're R17 when this is rated R. So you're supposed to be 17 to watch this. I'm 19. I know I look young. I'm 19. It's like, okay, it's not for children, but it's like a mystery, but not like a whodunit mystery. It's more of like there's a serial killer on the loose mystery. I don't want to describe it as a thriller either. I think the most I would describe it is a mystery. It's like a animated TV show that's not for children, not TV show, animated movie that's not for children. Like it has like graphic stuff in it. And then it's like a serial killer murder mystery in like a small 1800s town. That's the best I can describe it to you. If those buzzwords sound interesting to you, I highly recommend giving it a try. It's also definitely like, I will notice both Scooby-Doo and Batman are Warner Brothers. I will notice Warner Brothers loves creating a plot and then just putting one of their random characters in it. They do it all the time with Scooby-Doo. The amount of times the entire plot of Scooby-Doo relies on Scooby and Shaggy having a weird interest in something they've never had an interest before in any of the other movies or TV shows, but like in this specific movie they're obsessed with it. That happens all the time. So like don't be weirded out that Batman is just like randomly in the 1800s and like with sex workers, and like, you know, it's just a part of the lore and it's just a part of the vibes, and it's just like it didn't take me out of the movie, but to be fair, I watch a lot of movies like that where Batman's just placed in like very weird situations. It reminded me of Dark Knight to Steel. It reminded me of Dark Knight to Steel. I feel like it's the closest thing to Dark Knight to Steel that we have movie-wise. Mainly because they're the least modern Batman. Dark Knight to Steel, if you don't know, is like medieval, I believe. It's like the Knights. It takes place in like the era of the Knights. And it has like court jesters and kings and queens and princes and princesses. It's actually pretty good. It was my first ever comic. I own like half of it physically. I didn't get the second half, but I own like the first chunk physically. It's actually pretty good. I think it's my favorite until I watched this movie. I think this is not my favorite. But for a long time, it was my favorite, like, Batman AU, like, my favorite, like, Batman alternative universe. I just think it's such a cool concept. The comic, like, I wasn't in love with. I do recommend it, but, like, it's not my favorite, definitely. And I knew that, even though it was my first comic, like, I knew I would find better ones. But it was a really good first comic. It's really easy. There's like quite a few characters, but it's nothing you can't Google, and it's pretty well known characters. And it's a good comic. I do recommend it. It's not my favorite, but I just think the concept is like one of the most interesting Batman concepts I have ever read. I think it's very cool. I think it's very fun. My other favorite comics are Batman Year One. Batman Year One is my favorite Batman comic. I think it's so good. I love it so much. I think it's literally one of the best comics ever, and I think that specifically because of James Gordon. I love the way James Gordon is written in this. I don't think he's a terrible person. I think he's a flawed person. I think I am not the type of person who likes a morally corrupt, and I wouldn't call him morally correct, but a morally gray character. And in my opinion, in this comic, James Gordon is morally gray because, spoiler, he cheats on his pregnant wife, and that's a terrible thing to do. I don't think you're like irredeemable, but I think you are a terrible person if you do that. And it's the first time, and I genuinely think that's morally gray. I think when people think morally gray, they think of like fantasy and like a character who like kills people, but is also like has a soft spot for children. That is technically morally gray, but to me, morally gray means like they have good and bad traits, and they do good and bad things. And to me, I think James Gordon is a very complex character in Batman Year One, and I think he's extremely well written. I think my biggest problem with older media in general, but specifically older media that was geared towards a male audience, is I feel like there's no emotional connect to the characters, and I really don't relate to them at all. And I understand you don't always have to relate to every single thing you read, obviously, but I feel like it is hard for a lot of people to get into superhero media just because it's so male-centered, and it's really hard to like emotionally connect to characters. And the best part of reading and consuming media is emotionally connecting to characters. But Batman Year One does not have this problem. I thought Batman was cool in it too. It also, Catwoman is like another perspective we get, which it was my first time reading from Catwoman's perspective, and that was really fun. But James Gordon is my favorite by far in this. I loved him in this. I thought he was so well written. I genuinely want to just reread it for him. I loved him in this. I really thought he was really good in this. And I really liked it. I thought he was extremely well written. And then my other favorite comics are the Robin and Batman duology, which is Robin and Batman and Robin and Batman Jason Todd. These are like watercolor comics. They're so pretty. I've read them through like ebook, but I would love to own them because they're like beautiful watercolor. And they're colored too. They're not just like black and white. And the first one's about Dick Grayson, next one's about Jason Todd. They're incredibly sad because it portrays Bruce as a really bad parent, which I don't necessarily disagree with. And I really like it. And then I'm currently reading the Red Hood Outlaws series, and I really like it. I also read Red Hood Lost Days, and I did also enjoy that. But I'm really liking Red Hood Outlaws. I'm gonna start volume 3 hopefully soon. So, anyways, back this. This reminded me a lot of Dark Knight and Steel in like a way where like it's so not modern. I feel like a huge trope of Batman is like how modern it is, and like the sci-fi used, like specifically like newer Batman is very like sci-fi heavy in my opinion. This was not that at all. It definitely had like some elements of sci-fi with like his gadgets and stuff, but that's just like typical Batman. But it really took Batman out of his setting, but still made it such a realistic, like, even though Batman was like kind of just thrown into this random scenario, like I don't think the original creator of Batman saw him fighting Jack the Ripper in the future. Like, I know that, but it really felt like a Batman movie. It didn't just feel like Batman and Jack the Ripper. It felt like a real Batman movie, and I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really just well written. I will say it also scared me. Like, I'm a scaredy cat. I don't watch scary movies a lot, and I also don't love scary movies that are like unnecessarily violent, which I wouldn't call this one unnecessarily violent, but I would say it like it is violent in my opinion, and I didn't love that. That's like the one part of the movie I didn't love. It like definitely felt like very like torture of women, which wasn't great. But I do think it was like I don't think it like went over a line. It's just like something I don't like. Whereas like there's some movies where I'm like, I cannot watch that. It's literally just torturing a woman. Like, I can't watch that. I don't want to see that. I don't want that. I didn't feel uncomfortable watching this movie, but I will say, like, I don't think we ever need to depict women getting slaughtered in really like any media in the way it was depicted in this movie. It also, the character, I actually decided I'm not going to tell you who the bad guy is. Sorry, I'm going to gatekeep, watch the movie. The character who turned out to be Jack the Ripper at the end went on like a long monologue saying really terrible things about sex work, and like I understand like the point of the movie is to be like, this Jack the Ripper character is bad, and like how he feels about people who do that type of work is bad. But to me, it's kind of like when, and hear me out, it's kind of like when a white actor says the N-word in their role. Like, it's their job, like, to really show how racist they are. Like, they'll say the N-word. And to me personally, I don't think slurs should ever be used by somebody who cannot say the slur, even if it's for dramatic effect, even if it's to show like how racist those times were and how racist this character is. I think we can show racism without saying slurs. That's just my opinion. I know art is subjective, and I know people will feel differently than me. I just personally think we can show that without saying like terrible things, and that's kind of how I felt towards it. That's my one other criticism of this movie, where like it was very much like, I'm not gonna say like pro that type of work. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. I have nothing against that. I just don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. But I wouldn't say it was like talking bad about, like, I think like the moral of the story is like we shouldn't treat those type of people like they're subhuman, because they aren't. However, I do think just saying really terrible things about sex workers and then playing it off as like, well, that's bad, is like kind of backhanded and like weird. So those are like the two things, like the violence against women and like the weird talk about sex workers. I really didn't enjoy that. But otherwise, and again, I don't think this movie, like, crossed the line. It's just something I wish would change in movies overall. This isn't, like, a specific to this movie, and again, I don't think it was, like, egregious. I just think, like, it is something we need to work on. Like, we can have conversations and, like, portray people being bad without crossing a line, in my opinion. And it's not that it's crossed the line, but it did, like, make me, I was like, I don't love that. But this movie was really good. The atmosphere was really well done. I got sucked into the movie immediately, and I knew as soon as, like, the first 5 minutes that I was gonna love it. Yeah! Okay, I don't know where I left off, but we'll wrap up so we can get into the haul. Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. And honestly, It's taking a lot out of me not to just rewatch it right now because I really enjoyed it. And it's in my top 10 movies of the year, definitely, 100%. And I really want to own this. Okay, now for the haul. I actually got a lot of stuff, both rented and bought from the library. Both my libraries I go to have bookstores. Actually, I think every single branch of both libraries has bookstores. I know it's for my local library. I don't know about the other library. But the two I go to have bookstores, at least. And so this is just a haul of stuff I bought. It's all stuff I bought except for one thing, and the one thing is a Shrek CD that I just wanted to talk about because It Is You I Have Loved by Donna Glover is one of my new favorite songs, and I learned about it because of the Shrek CD, so it's cool. Okay, everything else I bought, I'm bleeding. I picked a mosquito bite and now I'm bleeding. Every single one of these things I bought except for one, so I'm gonna actually do that other one as well. There's two I didn't buy. And all of them I bought from the library bookstore, the same library bookstore actually. Except for one's from Walmart. I know, I'm sorry, but I saw it and I took it as an opportunity. Okay. I am so excited for this comic. It is Batman Ninja Turtles. There's a lot of Batman Ninja Turtle movies, and I've been trying to watch it forever, but it's not anywhere. I can't find it, so I might have to watch it illegally, which I tried doing, but the legal websites were like acting up. But I think I'll try. Don't tell the Ninja Turtles, don't tell Batman. Batman's gonna kill me for piracy. Anyways, I'm so excited. I'm probably gonna start this after. Actually, what I'm probably gonna do after this is, okay, let me make a plan real quick. I have to put all my media away, and then I want to clean my room. I want to put all my media away, make my bed, clean up some of the clothes, and then I will sit down and read this comic. But I'm also gonna put the Gotham by Gaslight on while I do it because I love this movie. Anyways, I'm so excited for this comic. I literally can't wait. And everything else I bought, okay, I think, here's the thing, the reason I collect DVDs most out of all physical media is because I think they're the cheapest and you can get, like, the best prices and also, like, the most, selection. I feel like there's not good selection for old CDs, and with books there is good selection for old books, but also buying new books is incredibly awful. I love books. I've read 61 this year. Buying first-hand books literally is terrible. It costs so much money. It should not cost that much money. Like, it's actually sad. And so buying first-hand books is really hard. And I also think it's really hard to, like, get first-hand CDs because they're also really expensive. And there are good options for second-hand books. I just think books also take up more space than DVDs and CDs. And CDs, I don't think there's that good second-hand options. And I also feel like DVDs you can get for really cheap, even first-hand. And CDs, I feel like it's not super expensive, but I feel like it is. Like, the ones at Walmart are like $10 to $15, which isn't awful, but I could go to a bookstore at the library and get 10 to 15 DVDs for $1, and they're like good DVDs that I actually want. And if I tried to do that with CDs, I'd get like one CD I actually watch. So I do feel what's fun for CDs specifically is to thrift like really silly CDs from like the 2000s that are really like either like soundtracks or musicals. Just really, like, I think soundtracks and musicals are my favorite thrift. Really fun old CDs to listen to from the 2000s. I think that's really fun. So I got Phantom of the Opera. I have watched the movie musicals, and I think I've watched this musical all the way through before when I was, like, little. I really love the first song. what is it? It's not the first song. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about this musical. I really love The Phantom of the Opera. It's one of my favorite songs. The only other there's a couple other actually musicals that I would really, there's soundtracks I want, but I want to thrift most of them. There is one though I know I'm not going to be able to thrift, and I've seen it at Barnes and Noble, and I don't like shopping at Barnes and Noble, but I do think I'm gonna have to make a trip to get it. It's Hadestown. That's my favorite musical. I really want Hadestown. I would also love Hamilton, just for the gag of it all. But I want to thrift that, which is harder, because the more popular the thing is, the harder it is to thrift until like 5 years later when it's no longer popular. Then it's extremely easy to thrift. Twilight, extremely easy to thrift. But at the time, when it was first coming out, I bet it was not. Anyways, I'm really excited about this. Really think unhinged CDs are the way to go. I think early 2000s CDs are the way to go. So, really excited. I got Lady Bird. I haven't seen this movie yet. I know it's going to be one of my top movies of life. I'm waiting for a very special moment to watch this. I am incredibly excited. So, okay, this is the one thing I got from Walmart. I'm sorry. I try not to buy from Walmart because it's not the best company. And I also try not to buy my DVDs firsthand just because I can get them so cheap. And I definitely could have gotten this whole series way cheaper if I got it all secondhand, especially because I have the first season. I got it for like $6. But I saw it and I wanted it, and I begged my mom to get it for me. And it's the complete series of Batman Beyond. Yes! I'm so fucking excited. Thank you, Lord. And then I got this really cool magazine, which is very interesting, and it's a bunch of comics. Anyways, that is everything. I'm going to go put this all away. I got some clothes today. I'm gonna put those away too. That is everything. Goodbye.